But so I think it should be telling you now that this is being recorded.
Yeah.
All right, let's take it back to the top here. So describe what this form is and how you see us using this form. And then I'm going to get the rest of the team looking at this, and then we'll have a much more intelligent response for you.
Okay. So what this is the hub. This is the form that we've built out for our hubs who are distributing naloxone in a similar way as the practices would, also in other ways. But you guys, there's one piece of this that collects the same thing that we would need from you guys. So now the first thing I want to say is you can set this up so that the site location or hub name, you can set it up so that each practice has their own static link. So you wouldn't actually need that question. It would autofill, or, if it came in on that link, you would know it was 36th and Classen in Oklahoma City, or however you would identify them.
Okay.
So this, you could, in REDCap, you could make it automatic. You will only be using this individual distribution section. So you wouldn't need these other two sections. So that cuts out, like on your paper form, you get to just like entirely erase large chunks of that paper form that you have.
So let me just clarify. The way we were looking at it is we're distributing it. So we're the agency. So we're actually doing distribution from OPHIC out to practices. And we are going to we need to keep track of that. And we know that needs to happen. I think what's new here is us imagining that each clinician site is going to have to be a distribution site as well, and that be tracked.
Well, you guys can set it up. I mean, as far as your data collection, as long as you like meet the minimum standards, you can collect it any way you need to.
Okay.
The reason that, I was talking about like advocacy partners and distribution sites is because programmatically, if we're out talking about this or something, we're talking about OPHIC, we don't want to make it seem like somebody could walk into an OPHIC office and get naloxone.
No, they're not. So what they'll
Right.
is that they'll be in meeting with their primary care clinician, and right now have 4 projects that can generate this possibility. So we're just going to test it out. But what we will do is our facilitator would then go into a primary care practice and provide them with 5 kits. And then it's up to that primary care practice and their clinician, who in their judgment, this is something that Jessica told us just on Tuesday, if the clinician's best judgment, their medical judgment, this person's at risk, then it's up to them to offer that individual the kit. And at that point, then there's information we want that individual to fill out.
Correct.
And we get that. That makes sense. But, and then that kind of gets down here to some of these other things that you've got down here. So I really get that. So that makes a lot of sense to us. The questions you've got here are very much like what are on the paper.
Right. So this is the section that we would want you guys to collect on. This is this zip code, gender, this stuff, the demographics.
Yeah, I get it. That makes sense.
Right. Now, if this is a replacement kit, and if you're telling me that no one will ever get a second kit, then we can get rid of this. So
why is it important to know if it's a replacement kit?
Just because
I don't see the doctors probably aren't going to be tracking that. That's going to be really hard for them, is to know whether it's a replacement kit or not.
It would only be a replacement kit if somebody, say you see a patient, you give them a kit, You see them again 6 months later and they say, hey, can I have another kit?
So that might not be a replacement. But what it may be also is that they expire. Someone was telling me the other day that they expire after 2 to 3 years, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So if it is a replacement,
we click on yes. And here the question is like, what happened to the kit? If it was lost or stolen, expired, broken, then there are no further questions. But if they tell you that they administered it or it got used,
yeah.
we need more information on that.
So we're trying to figure out in our workflow who would be answering these questions. The only person that would know this would be the clinician. Right? Because our facility won't know this. OPHIC won't know any of this. So the
person.
See that
the patient would know
these
this.
things.
So, I mean, for example, you could hand them an iPad or a paper, like the skip pattern on this is nice because you only have to answer what you have to answer and things appear and disappear.
Right.
And so that's why we are encouraging people doing it, excuse me, on an iPad or something like that. I don't know if that's possible in a practice.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to build this as a bit.ly link that will give people a QR code. They'll scan it with their phone or they type in the bit.ly link and they can do it right there on their phone.
Okay.
That will be really simple. We've learned that through the SBIRT program. We know that that will work.
Yeah.
Take them, it would just pick it up where it says it's self. So all that would make sense. That one's going to be fine. We'll just have to work through what is the data that's up here in the top as we build in that link. So we'll have to work through that one.
Right. And then
Replacement kit is the next challenge. So when this is done, you see the patient doing this saying, I need a replacement kit.
If it's where they got it.
We'll have to figure that one out.
I mean, if they got it from their doctor's office, I mean, basically, like functionally, they got it from their doctor's office. Let's say they took it home. It was in their medicine cabinet. It was for them because they got an opioid prescription, but their teenage nephew overdosed in the backyard.
Yep.
The first place they would go to get another one would be their doctor's office.
Okay.
Because it's where they got it.
Okay.
And so again, if the person never, like the way we have it set up here, if the person answers no, then they never see it.
Okay.
And then if they answer yes, then they answer some more questions.
And what happens whenever you click on other down there? If you say yes and then other?
It just pops up a text box.
Okay, I got you. All right, so I think I think we're okay with these things so far. So now, is it a replacement kit? No, that means they're getting it for the first time.
Right.
This out.
And then, so here we have these staff assessment questions. Those are, you aren't required to do those.
Okay.
But we do want, like, part of that process should be somebody confirming with the person, do you feel like you can use this?
Well, there's a video that also you guys have used, right?
Mm-hmm.
Build into that QR code a link to the video. The person watches the video while they're in the doctor's office, and then they fill this thing out, and that's then when they get the Naloxone kit. They have to be able to show to someone in the practice, I've watched the video, I've filled out the form, I've submitted it. It gives them some kind of approval back on their phone, and then the doctor's office will give them the kit. So that would cover this, would it not?
Yeah, it would.
So we're going to really just focus on Naloxone right now. I don't know that we're going to get into safety locks. I do think we want to be able to do the disposal packets, but we're going to do that later
Okay.
because we don't know.
Well,
But we do have some of those. We got samples of those, and we think
yeah.
that's a really good idea. And we also see the value of the safety locks and of the pill boxes of the lock. Maybe that's what you mean by the safety locks. We're also being,
No, the safety locks are gun safety locks.
okay, gun safety locks. So
And I
we,
sent you guys a small, like I sent you guys a box of those, but it's
Right.
really small
right,
comparatively
So-
speaking to everything else you got.
yeah. So there's also some pill boxes, right? Some, What do
Yeah, so yeah, and those are actually not my project, but I can like see about that. You guys got everything we have.
okay,
So what you have is what exists right now. And I don't know what the funding stream on that is or if we can order more or not.
yeah, I
Um,
think that's going to be more limited. That's what Jessica was saying on Tuesday is that
Yeah.
the disposal packets and the Naloxone kits, they're going to be a significant supply on those, and we can go there. I just need to know the staff assessment components were going to be difficult to figure out in our workflow, but we want to be able to let the doctors know, hey, if you need a onesie, twosie of some of these things, we can help get some of this to you as needed. But the
mhm.
disposal packets and the kits themselves, those are going to be the primary target we're going to go after here.
Okay,
So
that makes a lot of sense.
we had a question this week where we were asking about how do we reorder these to let you know we've distributed all of these kits, we've distributed all the packets, how do we do it? And Takia was under the impression that that was on this form, and I don't think so.
It is, no, there is no reordering on this form. So reordering is currently through me.
What would we have to tell you if we come back and say, all right, 240 are gone, or we've got 50 left, we need to get more. What do we need to tell you?
We're gonna, I mean, so I was kind of thinking about it on the flip side of that we would take that 240 and kind of see how long it takes you to get to 50. If it takes you a week to get to 50, then I mean, and like obviously the first distribution is going to be big. But as you're replacing things, once you get into kind of a groove, I would like to order for you guys about every 2 months.
Okay.
But we need to figure out what that amount looks like. So I don't know if it's 240 or.
Okay.
So yeah, so right now it's stay in touch. When you get down to 50, let me know.
Okay.
I will create some number in my head that I think will work for 2 months. We're going to see how it goes.
Okay. Well, we get the first shipment in tomorrow, and
Yes.
it's not going to be ready to immediately start right then, but we'll be able to do it shortly after that. That's where we're trying to get this first set out. And it looks to me like this form that you've shown me, we'll be able to replicate this very quickly in RedCap. And we'll build the links that we need and then we'll build training for our practice facilitators about how to introduce this. We'll start it small. We won't offer it to everybody, but we'll find out who wants to do this to get it out to their practice. So I guess one of the questions going to come up is what accounting do we need to provide you other than the patients filling this out? What accounting do we need to get back to support you guys in your grants? I know you've got grant reporting you've got to do at some point for the funding on this. What do you need back from us beyond what you're going to get from this form?
I believe nothing.
Okay.
I think if we get this, we're like, that's giving us counts and it's giving us the demographic information that we need.
So, and if we keep it all tied back to a single OPHIC distribution site, that's going to be okay. You don't have to know that it was Dr. Smith or Dr. Stevens or anybody else. It's just this came through OPHIC.
That is correct. Yeah.
It's being picked up for self initially, and that's what we're going to be doing here, I think, by and large. Now, if it's for someone else, let's say someone comes to their doctor and says, you know, I really need this, but it's for my brother who needs this kit.
Sure.
Is it in his home? Can I get one for him? I know that's going to happen. So now this is a set of information that just says who is that individual. Is it for someone 19 and under or 20 or over? Okay.
Mhm.
And then we get into, so is there any other information that they would add? So if they're just going to pick it up for someone else, there's not much information being asked for here.
That's correct, because we assume that they don't necessarily have that much information. I mean, we're still going to be collecting the information for the individual who's picking it up.
Got it. Well, how do you get that? Where would it ask for that information for the person picking it up?
So well, there's a glitch. It should be, so it should also be including this section when you click on someone else. This should be additional.
Zip code.
So we still need zip code.
Okay, so hit self again, and let's go through that real quick, and then
Yep.
it'll help our team.
Yep.
So if we say it is down for someone else, we're still going to want zip code, still
Mhm.
under, still want Hispanic, Latino, still want race,
Mhm.
income level. Is income level required? Is it a required field?
The only required field is zip code.
So everything else on here is optional. Okay. So
yes, but I want you to try.
Oh yeah, we're going to ask them to try.
Yeah.
And a lot of people try to fill it out.
Yeah, but if people take it and they just don't answer, they still get their kit.
Okay, let's go on down then.
Yep. So income level.
Go on. All those are still there.
Yep.
Okay. All right, that works, Andrea. So who's building your red cap stuff?
OSU. Center for Wellness.
Okay. Now, are they doing reporting for you?
I believe they will be.
So if you can give me a sample of what kind of reports you're expecting on their side for the way that they're distributing, that would help us too. I don't know, have those reports been built yet or not?
Not yet.
Okay. So what we'll do is the lady that's doing Carol Kaplicki, who does our red cap work, and we now have a new epidemiologist who's going to be working with her on this. They are over the top good. And what we're going to do is we will be able to dump this data to you or push it out to your reports, different styles, we'll have it, where we're able to give you an accounting. Now, what I'm going to have Christy Madden do, who's going to be the kind of the central hub for getting this out to the facilitators, she will keep track of how many kits go to which practice. We won't know who they give it to, but
right.
know who it goes out to. But I'm going to let our EPIs figure out what are the data we might want to have and what would make it a richer report. So I'm not going to constrain them. This
Perfect.
is extremely helpful to have this because they've been asking me, is there an instruction guide anywhere? Is there something we can work with? They're going to know exactly what to do with what you've got here and build out something similar to this. If we do this, do you guys want your logo on it, much like you've done here? Because we have that logo and we can put it on.
I mean, yeah, pop it on there somewhere.
Okay.
That would be great. And here's the other thing I can do. This link is not going to work forever. Right now, the link that I'm about to send you is not going to work forever, but it's the link to what I'm showing you.
That's great, because I'll send
And right now, because we're in build, this is my little area to play in.
Okay.
like, and mess it up and do whatever. But at some point we're gonna wipe this out. And so for now, I would like, I'm gonna trust your red cap people to not enter random data.
Well,
So they can look, but don't touch.
they'll just look at it then. We'll tell
Yeah.
them. But at this point, what would it do if they put in data? Is it a production database or is it just a test database you guys are going to blow away?
No, this is the production database.
Okay.
But it's like we have created like an Andrea hub.
Okay.
That will not, it's still in a really kind of sketch place. You guys are the first person I've given this link to.
Okay.
So this is me being maybe,
That's okay.
I'm being a little neurotic.
No,
just a tiny bit neurotic.
So talk to me about the survey queue. What is that? Up at the top, is that something we need to be aware of?
I mean, this it's only going to work for the hubs.
Okay.
Okay. And so this is kind of like, this is where we put in our work plan. And then, like if you guys were using this thing, every time you entered in a survey, it would like Naloxone hub form 1, form 2, so this is where everything gets collected.
Yeah, no, they'll know what that means. So they've seen that one. All right. Oh, this makes sense to me, and I think that this is going to equip them to be able to build this patient-facing component, and we'll be able to start putting that together. So let's go back to the PDF form. What it appears to me is that there is information on here that you need to have for OPHIC, and it's not really here. It's this piece right here, the section B. So do you need us to fill this out, or do you just already know this? And that's what you're setting us up as the advocacy partner.
Correct. So like once you guys exist and once you start importing data, it's all going to like go under you. And so we know everything. We know all that stuff.
So do you have that information? So it sounds like that every time we download data to you, we'll need to be able to download it with that information on it, correct?
No, it will be attached.
Be attached to?
Like automatic, that will happen automatically. I mean, if you want to put that all on there, you can. That actually, it's the part B stuff where you said this kit distribution is for an agency or organization distribution.
Right. Yeah, that's what
so normally what this section is about is like, if I'm giving kits to a school, I'm not giving it to individual people at a school. They're like for all the first aid kits in a school. So we usually use this, right? And so that section is really for the recipients of the kits. If I got a call from, the Oklahoma City Bombing Memorial Security Service, trained them a few months ago. It's not for the individual people, right? It's not, we don't name them. We don't need their demographics. They're just the people who work there. So we're collecting this data on the agency or the organization. And really the reason that we track this is because if they need a refill, they have to come, submit a form. And that's how they get refills.
Okay, so that's going to be OPHIC.
Right.
Are going to probably want you at some point to do your training. How long is the training, Andrea?
We can do it if you're in a huge time crunch, I can do it in 30 minutes. If normally we do it in about an hour. If you want like the full court press where I'm doing a solid train the trainer and dumping all of my experience on you, it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
So what is it that you'll be training? Because the target that I see for this will be the facilitators who will then communicate it on to the practice and explain, here's where all the questions are going to come from. And we're going to have to train them how to use whatever form it is that we build. So I know will have to be done. What other training is in what you wind up doing?
So the other training would be a train the trainer. This is what you guys kind of want to think about when they're in that practice and they're working with the folks who are working in that practice. I mean, do they need to be able to answer any questions? We know that, we know that we're going to have this system set up with this video. If the person asks a question,
okay,
what if I stick this thing in my ear? Do we want your facilitators to be able to do like a little train the trainer in that practice to answer like all of the strange questions that come up that we've pretty much learned, like we now know what the weird things people ask are.
So a couple of things jump to mind here. Can you send me the link of the video that we want the end recipient to be viewing?
Yes.
I'm guessing it's a YouTube link or something like that.
I think it's a Vimeo, but yeah.
Vimeo, that's great. And so send us that link because we'll embed that in what we give to the patient, because they're pretty much going to have to view the video before we let them then complete the survey. We'll figure out a way to make sure that we get the right information from them. And then display something that says, show this to the desk, and then they'll give you your naloxone. Then what we would do from there is we'll want to equip the teams so they'll know what to say when they take it in. And so those are the two things that are going to be necessary, I think, to add in here. You've talked about setting up a link. I think you were talking about a link to your survey. So we're going to be building the link to a survey that we built. So,
right. And then, okay, I think I probably said that, and we're going to go with, once you start talking about you know, how you're going to dump the data, like your red cap into our red cap, that is where you completely, like, I'm like, please do it, make it happen. Don't tell me about it.
Okay, well, but make sure that when we push that data over to you, that it's associated with OPHIC, so that you will know that these 240 responses that have come from the field are
right
that you gave us. So think through, because that's this agency organization name stuff. And whatever it is that you need as the identifier for OPHIC, we'll need to know, because that will have to be in that data dump.
Yeah. And likely we're going to need to, like, I'm going to need to talk to the OSU red cap folks, and it's entirely possible that your red cap people will need to talk to our red cap people, but we will definitely, like, it's something. I have a call with the OSU folks to next week, Wednesday. So we know that this is coming, and that is a question that I can kind of put in there, but I can guarantee you that they might even give me an answer that I will not understand.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so the answer you will get back from me is, yeah, they know it's coming and they can handle it.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get ours underway and get it built out. I think it will be a good idea, once we have something built that we think is going to work here, then to be able to show it to you initially, let you see what we built, and then get the other red cap people on and let them compare notes with our team, and they'll figure it out. I'm sure that there's going to be a simple way to do this. And, you know, the whole point of this is to keep it minimal. All right. So that's naloxone. So let me just talk a little bit about the pill disposal bags. What accounting is there on the bags? is there, what kind of information gets filled out on that?
We need similar demographic information. The gender, age range, all of that. So we could use, you could use that same form and somehow have your red cap people like at the top put in a question of like, are you giving out naloxone, disposable pouches, both? And then that way it could get into the right bucket. But the demographic information, it's that same demographic information.
Okay, and there, now on this one, the replacement is they took it home, put old pills in it, and threw it away.
Correct.
So it's not so what happens, is a patient limited to only getting one disposal bag at a time?
No.
Okay. So they can get multiple disposal bags as long as they will tell us what their zip code is, and some of the, and anything else is optional. We try to get the other things. They don't have to watch a video for that.
Correct.
They just get the bags and away they go.
Yep.
I'll let our team figure that out.
Okay.
All right, I think we can do this. All right, I'm in good shape here. I feel much more comfortable. I like that you guys had a red cap product to show us, because that really makes it simple for us to go back, because they'll look at this, they know all of it. We're building some very comprehensive survey type tools in red cap. It's amazing the things that they build. We're doing things that red cap says you can't do, and yet we figured out how to do it. So these people are on top of their game. And
hey, if your red cap people figured out how to alphabetize things after the fact, I need them to call me.
Well, I'll let them.
They'll know what that means.
I'll let them hear this on the video, but I would be shocked if they haven't figured out how to do that kind of stuff. So anyway, all right, Andrea, thank you very much for getting on this call. This has been enormously helpful. We'll get this up and running so we can get those 240 out. But you know, the comment that Jessica made the other day, it's pretty much unlimited volumes on naloxone and bags. And,
I mean, we're pretty close. Yeah.
And so we're going to encourage the PFs to go into every practice that they work with, and let's come up with an initial number of what we put in the practice. And then we'll just keep, and our biggest problem is figuring out how we're going to get the kits back over to these practices, because that's an administrative mess, as you know. And so it's something that Christy Madden's going to have to get figured out as to how we're going to do that. Do we send it to the PFs? Do they hand carry it in each time, or do we ship them in? That's where we got to go. But we got some other things to do first. And this has been very helpful.
Great.
All right.
All right. And I will try to hop onto a call with you and Takia, one of your regular calls with Takia soon, to check in on stuff.
Very good.
All right.
All right. Let me know and I'll add you to the invite list, or Takia can do that.
Yeah, go ahead and add me to the invite list. I'm not going to be able to be there all the time, but I will definitely come when I can.
Okay. I'll add you on the expert calls is what we'll add you to.
Okay. Sounds great.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Bye. You too.